Hi, I'm Greg Hunter, and this is the weekly news wrap-up for Friday, November 18th, 2011. Occupy Wall Street, nationwide protest yesterday. Thousands participated, hundreds were arrested, but it is not slowing the movement down. After 2 months, it's getting bigger, not smaller. I heard one commentator on TV finally frame up the argument, and he said, hey, listen, this is not really about the financial winners. This is about the financial cheaters who rigged the system to win and also rigged it so the little guy couldn't win. Bravo. And here's the addendum. The system is still rigged, and the financial cheaters have still not been brought to justice. We would not have an Occupy Wall Street movement. The banks wouldn't have been bailed out. The executives would have been fired. You'd have taken the banks to receivership. We would have taken some executives to jail. End of story. We wouldn't have Occupy Wall Street. Now that said, I think this is going to be a huge campaign issue for both Republicans and Democrats. And here's why. The Democrats know that they cannot fix the economy. It's broken. It is terrible. And the Republicans are attacking these Occupy Wall Street people. You know, they tell them that they're anti-Semites and that they're talking about their rapes and they're dirty hippies and they don't know what they're talking about. What's their message? You got people like Herman Cain saying, hey, if you're not rich, blame yourself. No, that's bad. Bad for the Republicans. The Democrats are going to say, hey, listen, we know the economy is bad. We can't fix it between now and the election. But how do you want it fixed? Do you want it fixed our way, the Democrat way, or do you want it fixed the Republican way and have your benefits cut and have a bunch of jobs cut? Jobs need to be cut, but that's what they're gonna do. And if there's a third party that splinters off from Republicans, forget it. It's over. Barack Obama is a two-termer. Next up, Syria. Now, Syria is on the verge of a civil war. It's the Hatfields and McCoys, it's the Sunnis and the Shia, and it is not looking good. Even the Arab League has rebuked Syria because the leaders there have been violent against protesters. They've been shooting them in the street. And now the protesters are arming themselves and shooting back. This does not end well, and could this be another NATO, Libya type situation? We'll see. MF Global. You know, the company that was trading in sovereign debt that went belly up? Well, apparently they were a big commodities dealer as well. And, those funds were supposed to be separate. You know, this guy's and this guy's and this guy's all cordoned off. They were supposed to be separate funds. As it turns out, as you find out now, all these clients' funds weren't so separate. They're wrapped up in all this. And now traders and clients can't get their money back. It's all wrapped up with a bankruptcy trustee. Well, this is sending fear and shock through the commodities market because, the commodities traders just don't trust the system. And this kind of event could force a lockup of the system. This is terrible. This is a disaster. It is a complete regulatory failure. And again, the regulators were protecting the bankers, but they didn't protect the little guy, thus protecting the system. This is a mess. You need to keep watching it. Just like the European sovereign debt crisis. According to one financial planner last week who deals with the wealthy, he says, hey, listen, I hate to tell you this, but, the wealthy are already moving their funds out of Italian banks. They've already exited the Greek banks, and now they're moving their funds out of Italian banks. Oh, what do you expect the wealthy to do? They're wealthy because they don't lose money. This could set off a domino-style bank failure event in Europe, and yes, it will end up hitting the United States. It could force the Fed to print tons of money, and could force the EU to break all their treaties and also print tons of money. Can they print enough money fast enough to keep the whole system from imploding? We shall see. Look out for this. U.S. troops now stationed in Australia. There's going to be 2,500 in just in the next few years. Barack Obama announced that this week. And what's going on? Well, they're protecting the shipping lanes there in northern Australia. It also gives the U.S. ready access to countries and to the South China Sea. Now, not only are there shipping lanes north of Australia, but there's also apparently natural resources in the water. I don't think they're talking about fish. I think they're talking about offshore oil drilling and the like, maybe minerals. At any rate, China is not happy, and they are the single country holding the most debt of the United States. The biggest debt holder, of course, is the Federal Reserve, but China is upset, and they are not happy. Finally, a new report out by John Williams at shadowstats.com, and he says, you know how the government says that we have a $1.3 trillion annual deficit, which is bad enough. Well, he says, according to his report, if you use generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP, our real annual deficit is north of $5 trillion. Not a typo, not a mistake, not a misprint. Our real annual deficit is above $5 trillion. Williams says that's out of control and unsustainable, and he couldn't be more correct. I've been on the internet for a couple of years, and the one thing I said was plan on inflation, and actually I was a little wrong. You should plan on inflation and deflation at the same time. Inflation in everything you buy and use, and deflation in things like real estate. They can't hold those rates down to around 4% forever, and when they let off the interest rates and they go back up, housing prices are going to decline some more. And don't expect the Fed or any other central bank to go down without printing tons of money. That's where some of the inflation comes from, along with the possibility of foreigners selling $12 trillion held outside of the country. Protect yourselves at all times. Whatever you do, don't stop preparing for what's coming. That's the way I see it. Thanks for supporting USAWatchdog.com. I'm Greg Hunter.